Welcome to Shadowed Tales Archive. Tonight's story is titled, The Mirror's Second Face. Let the shadows speak.
Part 1. The Dream That Wasn't Mine. I used to think the worst dreams were the ones that came back. I was wrong. The worst are the ones that don't belong to you. It started on a Thursday. Not a full moon, not some cursed anniversary, just a cloudy, forgettable Thursday in mid-October. I remember because the leaves outside my dorm window looked like bruised skin, yellow bleeding into purple. That's what I saw when I woke up shaking and covered in sweat. But I didn't remember the dream. Not at first. My name is Camille Hayes. I'm 21. A psychology major with a minor in folklore, which is a fancy way of saying I'm good at analyzing ghosts and overthinking my own trauma. That night, I woke up at 3:12 a.m. My sheets were damp. My breath felt like smoke in my throat. I sat on the edge of my bed, holding the tiny mirror I keep on my nightstand, the one from my grandma's jewelry box. No idea why I grabbed it, but my hand was wrapped around it so tightly that the metal left a red line on my palm. I didn't remember the dream, but I felt like something had been looking at me. Not in the dream, in real life. And I felt empty. Not sad, not scared. Just like something important was missing. Like I'd swallowed a whole. The memory hit me halfway through my folklore and ritual class. It didn't rush in like a movie. It uncoiled itself, like a thread being pulled from the back of my skull. In the dream, I was standing in a forest of mirrors. Every tree trunk was a reflection of me. Not just how I looked, how I felt. One showed me smiling with blood in my teeth. One showed me as a little girl, lost and crying. One of them had no face at all. And then, I turned and saw her. She was me, but wrong. Her hair was straighter, darker, like someone had drained the color from it. Her eyes were mine but colder, focused like she was studying me. And she smiled. It wasn't cruel. It wasn't kind. It was just certain. "You're not supposed to be here," she said. When I tried to speak, I couldn't. My throat had no sound. She stepped forward, took my hand like a sister might, and leaned in so close I could feel her breath in my ear. "I'm almost ready." That was it. Then I woke up. I didn't tell anyone, not even Nora, my roommate. She already thought I was too into weird shit. That's what she called the mirror collection I kept above my bed. Thrift shop finds, all of them cracked or discolored. But I didn't buy them to see myself. I bought them to see what else might be looking. I'd only ever joked about that, but after the dream I started checking them. Every night. And every night I thought I saw something behind me just as I looked away. On Saturday I saw her. For real. Nora and I had some friends over that night. 3 girls from our folklore class, April, Leah, and Zoe. We had a plan, movie night followed by some light summoning. A joke, really. We were going to try this old ritual I found in a digitized diary from 1893. The rules were simple. 4 candles, 1 bowl of water, 1 mirror, 1 vessel item. The diary called it the severance rite. I didn't tell the others what it was supposed to do, just that it would be fun, creepy, and maybe give us weird dreams. God, I wish I'd never lit those candles. We sat in a loose circle on the rug. Each girl had a candle in front of her. I placed the mirror in the center, angled slightly upward so it caught the flickering light from all sides. The water bowl sat beside it, filled from the tap but already rippling like something had dropped in it. I placed my item last, the locket. It was the only thing I had left from my mother. She'd vanished when I was 8. Not died. Not run away, just vanished. No clues, no answers. Only the locket left on my pillow the morning after. I set it next to the mirror. Nora laughed nervously. "So what now? We chant something and hope Bloody Mary shows up?" I smiled. Not quite. I read the lines aloud from the scan page. They sounded like Latin, but none of us could verify it. The voice that came out of me didn't even sound like mine. Ad severatum anima, retroredit corpus clarum. The room got colder. The candles flickered once, and then the mirror changed. We all saw it. For a moment, the reflection wasn't us. Not exactly. It looked like us, but twisted. Leah's reflection had her mouth sewn shut. April's had no eyes. Nora's had fire on her skin. Mine was smiling. Not like me. Not like anyone should. And then the glass cracked. Not shattered, cracked, right down the middle. A jagged line from top to bottom, splitting my reflected face in two. Nora grabbed my wrist. "Camille, blow out the candles. Right now." But I couldn't move. My body was ice. My mind was screaming, but I couldn't even blink. Because behind my cracked reflection, I saw her. The girl from my dream. Part 2. Whispers behind the glass. I didn't sleep that night. None of us did. We tried to laugh it off at first. Tried to make jokes, say the mirror was just old and the cracks made weird patterns. But no one bought it. Leah left first, mumbling something about bad energy. April went quiet, barely said goodbye. And Zoe stayed just long enough to whisper, "I think you woke something up," before slipping into the hallway like a ghost. Nora stayed with me. She always did, even when she thought I was being weird. That night, she slept on the floor beside my bed, one hand on the bat she kept under her dresser. I pretended to sleep, but I couldn't stop hearing it. The whisper, faint, just under the sound of the wind rattling our old window, like a voice trapped under glass. The next morning, I woke up to find the mirror on my desk. I hadn't touched it, neither had Nora, and yet there it was, propped perfectly, as if positioned to stare directly at my face the moment I sat up. My reflection blinked slower than me. I froze. Just a trick of the light. I told myself that over and over, but when I leaned closer, I saw it again. Her. In the deepest layer of the reflection, barely visible behind my own eyes. Smiling. I skipped class and went straight to the university archives. I needed answers about the ritual. The scanned diary I'd found earlier came from a digital folklore database tied to our library. I wanted to see if there was more, maybe context, maybe warnings. What I found was worse than I imagined. The original diary belonged to a woman named Isadora Moraine. She'd been committed to a sanitarium in 1894 after the death of her twin sister, Vivian. The death had no clear cause, no trauma, no illness, just her body torn open from the inside out, like something had clawed its way out of her. The official record marked it as spontaneous internal rupture. But in Isadora's diary, she blamed something else, the severance rite. The ritual, she wrote, was meant to separate the binding of self from shadow. Not in a poetic way, not metaphorical. She believed that inside each of us was something dormant, another consciousness, another will, a reflection made flesh. And the rite, if done with the right tools at the right time, would allow it to step forward. Mine smiled before she moved, she wrote. Smiled like she'd always planned it. I thought I was the broken one, but it was her who had waited, patient in my mirror, for the day I let her out. I slammed the book shut. My hands were shaking. Because everything Isadora described, I was feeling it too. Nora noticed the change in me that afternoon. "You haven't eaten," she said gently, handing me a granola bar. "You're looking through me, Camille. Like, you're not here." I almost told her. But how do you explain that your reflection has a will of its own? That when you close your eyes, you see yourself smiling with someone else's thoughts behind your grin? Instead, I said, I think the ritual did something. I think we broke something open. Nora didn't laugh. She looked scared, and that scared me more than anything else. That night it escalated. I locked my door. I covered all the mirrors with towels. I put the cracked ritual mirror in my closet, wrapped in 2 layers of fabric. And yet, I still saw her. Not directly, in my periphery, in the gleam of my phone screen when it was off, in the shine of the microwave door when I passed the dorm kitchen. And then came the voice. It wasn't in my ears. It was inside my thoughts. A different tone, lower, smoother, and terrifyingly familiar. "You're not whole without me," I screamed. Nora burst into the room 5 seconds later. I told her everything. The dream, the mirror, the voice, the diary, the woman who died from the inside out. And to my surprise, Nora didn't call me crazy. She sat next to me, pulled the towel off the mirror, and stared into it. "I believe you," she said softly, "because I've seen her too." My throat went dry. "What?" "Last night, after the ritual, I went to the bathroom. The lights flickered, and for a second I saw someone standing behind me. She looked like you, but she wasn't. I felt cold all over." She touched my hand. "I think something's trying to come through you, Cam, and I think it's already started." We stayed up the rest of the night making a plan. We'd find a way to reverse the ritual, seal the mirror, bury it if we had to. But just after 4 a.m., as we sat researching other protective rites, my stomach cramped violently. I doubled over, fell to the floor. It felt like something moved inside me. Not gas, not pain, movement, like a hand pressing up from beneath my ribs. I screamed. Nora ran to grab the mirror from the closet. I don't know why. Maybe she thought showing the reflection would help. Maybe she thought facing it would break the spell. But the moment she unwrapped it, the room went dark. The candles we hadn't even lit flared to life. And in the center of the glass, she stepped forward. Not a reflection, not a dream. Her. Part 3. A name in my voice. She didn't move like me. That was the first thing I noticed. She stepped out of the mirror slowly but not awkwardly. Graceful, like she'd practiced this entrance 1,000 times. She wore my face but perfected. Her hair was smooth, no split ends. Her posture elegant, upright. Her eyes brighter than mine but colder. I was on the floor, still gasping, still clutching my abdomen like it was going to split open. Nora backed up toward the door, whispering my name. "Camille." The other me turned to her and smiled. "Don't worry," she said in my voice. "She'll be all right. Just a little disoriented." I tried to scream, but the voice wasn't mine anymore. Nora did what I couldn't. She ran. Out the door. Down the hall. But not before the other me whispered something that froze me to the floor. "She'll be next." The candle flames flickered in sync. I couldn't stand, couldn't move. Not because she paralyzed me, but because I was afraid she was right. Because some part of me had wanted this. I blacked out, or maybe I dreamt. I was in the mirror forest again. Except this time, none of the reflections were moving. All of them, dozens, maybe hundreds, were frozen in mid-scream. Mouths open, eyes wide, and one by one they shattered, mirror by mirror, until only mine remained. And in it I saw her, sitting in my bed, wearing my hoodie, answering my phone, living my life. When I woke up, it was noon the next day. The mirror was gone, so was Nora. My phone had 10 missed calls, all from unknown numbers. One voicemail, my own voice, but I hadn't recorded it. "Hey, it's me. Just wanted to say thanks for the gift. I feel whole. Hope you're adjusting. If not, well, we both know only one of us was built to survive." I dropped the phone. My hands weren't trembling. They were still. Too still. I tried to find Nora. Campus security hadn't seen her. Her things were still in the dorm, but her ID card had been used to exit the campus gate at 3:47 a.m. I checked her Instagram, no update. Her mom hadn't heard from her. And the mirror? Gone. Even the broken thrift store ones on my wall, all of them gone. Like someone had erased every surface she could come through or go back into. I stopped attending class. I stopped sleeping. I'd catch glimpses of myself in windows, screens, metal surfaces, and each time there'd be something wrong. Wrong smile, wrong angle, wrong blink timing. I once saw my reflection blink after I turned away. Another time it mouthed my name when my mouth was shut. Worst of all, I started hearing her thoughts. At first I thought they were mine, just racing intrusive, but they weren't shaped like me. They were smoother, smarter, meaner. They always preferred me. Why do you think your mother left? You called me Camille. You brought me back. I remembered the diary again. I dug into Isadora's final pages. She tried everything to take control back, burning the mirror, redoing the right in reverse, even stabbing her reflection with a blessed dagger. But nothing worked, because she wrote, "The mirror isn't the prison, it's the key. And once opened, the door never shuts." Her final entry was written in a different handwriting. Elegant, smooth. She gave me a name. I gave her freedom. Fair trade. I ran my fingers over the page, and for the first time I realized I didn't remember my own middle name. The next time I saw Nora, she wasn't alone. She was sitting across from me in the dining hall, eyes glassy, face pale. And beside her was me, the other Camille, dressed to perfection, hair down, laughter like chimes. Everyone around her enamored, as if she'd been here all along. I froze at the entrance. Nora looked up, and for a second her eyes locked on mine. What? Scared, but not surprised. And then she mouthed something. She doesn't sleep. My knees buckled. I didn't confront them. I couldn't. Not because I was afraid, but because I wasn't sure who they'd believe, who I even was anymore. I went back to my dorm, wrote everything down, journaled, recorded voice memos, screamed into pillows, left notes on my laptop, trying to anchor myself. But each day things disappeared. The scarf I wore since high school, gone. My tattoo faded like it had never been inked. My voice, slightly different in recordings. I even found one memo I didn't remember making. "You've had your time. Rest now. Let me drive." Nora texted me that night. No words, just a picture of my bed, and in it, her, wrapped around the other me, asleep, smiling. Content. I threw my phone across the room. It didn't break, but the screen turned black and reflected my face. The wrong face. Part 4. The one who remains. I didn't cry. There was no point. You can't cry for a life that no longer belongs to you. Instead, I walked 4 hours through campus, through town, through the misty edge of the lake where I used to sit with my mom as a kid, back before she vanished, leaving only questions and a cold necklace I still wore around my neck. Only now, I wasn't sure it was mine anymore. It felt like I was wearing someone else's memory. That night, I broke into the library's restricted archive. It wasn't hard. One of the folklore professors had a habit of leaving his access card in his office. I had to know if the mirror, she, had done this before. Turns out she had. The severance rite wasn't a one-off. I found 4 references spanning a century. Different names, different formats, but always the same structure. Mirror, vessel, incantation, reversal impossible. In 1947, a case in Massachusetts where a woman claimed her husband had mirrored over. The phrasing stuck with me. Mirrored over. Like paint. Like mold. I found one final entry that shattered something in me. A police report from 2002. Subject, Michelle Hayes, my mother. Case notes referenced obsessive mirror behavior, unexplained disappearances, psychiatric evaluations. A final recording marked UNPLAWBLE. But attached to the file was a blurry, time-stamped photo taken from a hospital surveillance cam. My mother standing in a hallway talking to someone, but there was no one else in the frame. Just her reflection, tilted slightly to the left, smiling back. I ran, out of the archives, out of the building, into the cold night where I no longer felt like I had skin, just a shell. Just a trembling puppet being jerked by invisible strings. I collapsed beside a dumpster behind the gym. And that's when she came to me. Not the reflection. Her. In the flesh. She didn't attack. Didn't scream. Just crouched beside me and said my name softly. Camille. I looked up into my own eyes. But this time, I saw something new in them. Pity. I'm sorry, she said. You weren't supposed to wake up. I shook. You took everything. She tilted her head. No, you gave it. She reached out and touched my shoulder. And for a second, just a breath, I remembered her. Not as an intruder, not as a demon, but as mine. The twin I never had. The voice I'd buried. The girl who grew up inside my silence. The self I'd locked away every time I smiled when I wanted to scream. I was never evil, she whispered. Just exiled. She stood up and left. Just like that. No blood. No fight. Because she didn't need to. She knew I was already breaking. I didn't go back to the dorm that night. I didn't think I'd be allowed to. Instead, I found myself outside a motel 5 miles off campus. I paid cash, didn't look at the mirror in the bathroom, didn't take off my hoodie. I lay there staring at the ceiling until something finally broke in my chest. A thought I couldn't ignore. What if I'm the copy? I don't mean metaphorically, I mean literally. What if she's not the one who crossed over? What if the Camille who summoned her was already the reflection? A fabrication born from grief, from loss. From desperation to feel real. The more I thought about it, the more it made sense. The lost time, the gaps in memory, the photos that felt staged, the voice in the voicemail that sounded more like me than mine ever did. I tried to call Nora. One last time. Blocked. I used a burner app. Still no response. So I did the only thing I could. I waited until the morning. Then walked into the psychology department's clinic and told the receptionist, I think I'm not real. They admitted me within 3 hours. The walls were padded but not soft. The lights were too bright. They gave me a mirror in the bathroom, but I smashed it the first night. No one visited. I stopped asking. But on the 9th day they brought someone in. A specialist. Tall. Clean suit. Smelled like burnt sage. He sat down across from me and didn't introduce himself. Just opened a folder. Inside, a photo. Me. Standing in a circle of mirrors. And beside me, her. She's been waiting a long time, he said. I blinked. What? The other one. She's been patient. Unlike most. He closed the folder. You called her through, but she couldn't fully cross unless you allowed it. I didn't allow anything. He smiled. Didn't you? And then he left. No name. No follow-up. Just that smile. And the photo that he forgot on the table. I took it, studied it for hours, and realized something horrifying. In the photo, I was the one with the wrong eyes. I stopped talking. The doctors don't know what to make of me. Sometimes they call me Camille. Sometimes they call me Jane Doe. Sometimes they say I'm in crisis, but none of that matters, because last night I woke up to find the mirror whole again, on the floor, with a note attached. We're almost done. And in the glass I saw my mother, not older, not aged, exactly as I remember her, and she was smiling. Part 5. A room without reflections. They moved me to a different room. No mirror, no reflective surfaces, no metal, just a white ceiling and a ticking wall clock with no glass cover. I thought maybe I was getting better, but I was wrong. They were just preparing me. The night after the photo appeared, I was visited again. Not by the man in the suit, not by Nora, not by any staff, by her. She didn't knock. She didn't open the door. She was the door. The surface of the wall shimmered like oil, and she stepped through it barefoot, quiet as a shadow. I didn't scream. I just sat on the edge of the bed, waiting. "You brought me here," she said. I shook my head. "I didn't mean to." She smiled. "Of course you did. That's how the right works." I whispered, "You took everything." She sat down beside me. I didn't take what was already mine. And then she said something I hadn't expected. Something that hit me harder than anything else. She did the same to me. "Who?" She didn't answer. She just reached into her pocket and pulled out something small. A locket, my mother's, and she placed it in my palm. It was warm. Everything tilted. I fell into the floor, but not physically. My mind cracked sideways like a lens turning, and suddenly I was back in the forest of mirrors. But it was different now. The mirrors no longer reflected me. They showed her, my mother, in dozens of scenes, running, screaming, smiling, laughing, and then burning. Over and over again, the image of her pressing her palms against the glass as something inside her tore free. I couldn't look away, because in the last mirror, she turned toward me and mouthed the words, "It's your turn." I woke up in a different room. No ceiling clock, no doors, no lights, just one thing. A mirror in the center of the wall. It was smooth, clean, framed with silver filigree like a picture frame from a century ago. I didn't see myself in it, not at first. I saw her, my mother, exactly as she looked in the photo, but this time she was speaking. I couldn't hear the words, only her mouth moving, so I pressed my forehead to the glass, and suddenly, I heard everything. "Camille, my sweet girl, I'm sorry." I fell to my knees. The voice was hers, not a memory, not a hallucination. She was in there. "Why?" I begged. "Why did you leave me?" Her eyes welled with tears. "I didn't. I was taken, just like you are, just like my mother before me." "What is this?" "The mirror doesn't create us," she said. "It remembers us. It saves us when the world forgets." Her voice cracked. She took my place. I thought I could stop it. I tried. I fought. But I didn't know. The right doesn't seal the door. It chooses who stays behind. The glass rippled, and behind her I saw her reflection. Not Camille, not me, but the other. "She's growing stronger," my mother said. "The longer she wears you, the more real she becomes." I sobbed. "Then how do I stop it?" Her answer was barely a whisper. "You don't." My hands slammed against the mirror. "There has to be a way. I won't let her win." And then I heard it, a second voice, from inside me. "You already did." I stumbled back. My chest felt tight, my skin too warm, my eyes dry. I couldn't cry anymore. I looked into the mirror again. My mother was gone, and in her place was me. But not the me in this room. The other me, smiling, wearing my clothes, sitting in my dorm, laughing with friends, and she leaned forward, resting her chin in her hands, then said the words I'll never forget. "You're just the echo. I'm the song." I screamed, until my throat tore, until my fists bled from punching the mirror, until I collapsed on the floor, broken, shaking, alone. And in that silence, a memory returned, a fragment I didn't remember forgetting. I was 10, sitting in front of a mirror, trying on my mother's earrings. She stood behind me, smiling, and she said, "Don't stay in the mirror too long, sweetheart. She'll think you're ready." I never knew what she meant, until now. They found me unconscious, or so I was told. They said I'd been screaming for hours, that my room had no mirror, that the cuts on my hands were self-inflicted. But I knew better. I remembered the weight of the locket, the sound of her voice, the truth behind the glass. Now I don't talk much. They think I'm healing. They think I'm stable. But I'm not, because I see her in the eyes of my doctors, in the security camera, in the nurse who brings me breakfast. I see her everywhere, and I'm afraid that one day I'll forget I ever existed, and only she will remain. Part 6. To be forgotten, to be free. They say time passes slower in isolation, but I think it's the opposite. Here, time isn't a river. It's a loop. Every day the same. A tray of food I don't eat. A nurse who doesn't blink. A therapist who insists I talk about the other girl. They think she's imaginary, but I know she's not, because every night I dream of her living my life. In the dream, she opens my dorm closet, tries on my clothes, reads my journals aloud, then burns the pages, sits with Nora, talking, laughing, tilting her head in that way I never did. She's rewriting me, every gesture, every relationship, every memory, and I'm watching from behind the glass, mute, melting, until one night I wake up in her body. It only lasts a second, but it's enough. Enough to feel the heat of Nora's hand, enough to smell my old shampoo, enough to see myself in the mirror just before blinking and switching back. It was like stepping into skin that no longer fit, like being a ghost who briefly possesses a stranger, except the stranger was me, and the ghost was still alive. That moment changes everything. I stopped trying to escape the hospital. I stopped begging to be believed. Instead, I start listening. I go back through every line of the severance rite, not just what I remember, but what I missed, and I find something, a fragment in the Latin, corpus clarum, anima legata. Loosely, the body is clear, the soul is bound, but legata also means something else. It means gifted, transferred. The soul isn't just separated, it's handed over. The rite isn't a trap, it's a transaction. One of us must willingly step aside. But what if we tricked it? What if I could convince the world she was me so completely that I became the one with no name? Could I slip out? Could I take back what she took? No, because she didn't just take my life, she became it. And now to return, I'd have to become something else. I start with memory, not mine, hers. Every time I dream, I try to push deeper into her mind, like swimming upstream in someone else's bloodstream. And slowly I begin to pull things out, where she hides the ritual mirror, how she erased my photo albums, how she whispers my name at night, not with guilt, but with ownership. And I see it. She's not whole. She's winning, yes, but she's unstable, because I'm still inside her. A hairline fracture beneath the skin. The body can't house two minds for long. I start to feel it in the dreams, the cracks, the glitches. I see her hand flicker into mine. Her eyes twitch, blinking out of sync. Sometimes she repeats herself, says the same phrase twice, unaware. The mirror is slipping. I don't need to destroy her. I need to remind her, remind the world I existed. So I begin to leave traces. The first nurse finds the note folded under my untouched toast. She walks in shoes that don't belong to her. They think it's nonsense. They log it as psychosis. Perfect. The second is a voice memo recorded on a hospital laptop. I whisper only one line. If you hear this, you're remembering me. I name no names. I don't have to, because I no longer need anyone to believe I'm Camille. I only need her to doubt it. Then comes the bleeding. Not dramatic, just subtle. A nosebleed that won't stop. A dull ache behind my eyes. A pulse in my palm that skips when I lie, because something is coming undone. At night, I look into the blank wall and see ripples. And in those ripples, her face. Tired, strained, flickering. She knows. She knows I'm still alive inside her. And she's afraid, because I'm not trying to take back my life. I'm trying to overwrite hers. The mirror reappears on my 12th night. No one brings it in. It's just there, leaning against the far wall, unbroken, untouched. But on its surface, I see her for the first time in full clarity. Not in shadow, not in dream, but her, wearing my skin, drenched in sweat, lips trembling. And for once, she speaks first. What are you? I lean forward and smile. The part you forgot to erase. Part 7. The echo that screamed back. I don't remember standing up, but I remember walking into the mirror. It was smooth like mist, cold at first, then warm, like breath against glass, like a mouth about to whisper. When I passed through, I felt every cell hum, like my atoms had been temporarily disassembled, then rushed back together in the wrong order. It didn't hurt, not physically, but it felt like dying. On the other side, I was back in my dorm. Almost. The colors were slightly off, too saturated. The books on the shelf were out of order, and the mirror on the wall reflected nothing. Not me, not the room, just blankness. That's when I saw her, sitting cross-legged on my bed, hands trembling. She looked up, and I saw fear in her eyes for the first time. I didn't mean to hurt you, she said. I stepped closer. You didn't hurt me, I replied. You replaced me. She shook her head, hair falling across her face. I was just waiting. You left the door open. You could have knocked. I did, she whispered. For years, you ignored me. I paused, because deep down I knew she was right. I had pushed her down every time I needed to be normal. Every time I smiled when I wanted to scream. Every time I said yes when I meant no. She was born in the cracks of my denial. But that didn't make her real. Not more real than me. I want my body back, I said. She looked up, suddenly calm. Then take it. The lights dimmed. The mirror behind her vibrated like glass under pressure. Come on, she said softly. Let's see which of us it chooses. We stood facing each other in the center of the room. The walls bled into blackness. The air smelled like ozone and old memory. She raised her hand. I raised mine. And for a moment, our gestures synced perfectly. Two dancers, two reflections, one lie, one truth. But which was which? She spoke first. Camille Hayes, born March 14th. Mother disappeared 2007. Recurring nightmares at age 10. Found the severance right online. Summoned me at 3:12 a.m. I answered. Camille Hayes. Same birth date. Same trauma. But I remember things you don't. She frowned. Like what? I stepped closer. Like how Mom said not to stare into mirrors too long. Her lips parted slightly. I continued. Like the taste of burnt toast the morning she vanished. A flicker in her eye. Like how you flinch at the smell of lavender. Now she was trembling. You have the face, the walk, the voice, but not the depth. You're the sketch, she screamed. Her body jerked, spasmed like wires sparking. Cracks spidered across her skin, hairline fractures glowing red. She staggered back, shrieking, clawing at her chest. I stepped forward. Come, unblinking. You wanted to wear me like a coat, I said, but you forgot something. She looked up, broken and leaking. What? I smiled. Even shadows cast shadows. Her body began to split, from the stomach up as if unzipping. No blood, just light, like a second figure peeling itself out from inside her. Not me, not her, but something older, something with my eyes, but no mouth, just a hole where a voice should have been. The entity looked at me, then at her, then at the mirror, and it moved, swiftly, without sound. It grabbed her wrists and dragged her backwards into the reflectionless glass. She didn't scream. She only whispered one word, please, and then she was gone. The mirror cracked, this time from the inside, and then finally it shattered. I stood alone. My hands were glowing, faint like embers after a fire. My body pulsed with something heavy, something new. Was I back? Was I real? Or was I now the echo? The door behind me creaked open. Nora stood there, tears on her face. You're back, she said, but her voice was unsure. I stepped toward her, felt the floor under my bare feet, felt everything, the breath in my lungs, the pressure in my skull, the hunger in my stomach. I was alive, but was I me? Nora reached out, touched my arm, pulled back slightly. Her eyes scanned my face, like she was trying to find the truth underneath the skin. I don't care what you are, she whispered. Just please stay. And I nodded, because I didn't know the answer either. But I wanted to stay, even if I wasn't Camille anymore, even if I was something left behind, even if I was the shadow that learned how to scream back. Part 8. What comes after the glass? Weeks passed, or at least, that's what the calendar said. Outside, the leaves turned to blood and rust. The air thinned with winter. Students returned to campus like nothing had ever happened, like there hadn't been a girl who vanished, a girl who bled from the inside out, a girl who screamed until the mirror cracked. I walked through it all with a new body, same face, different voice, but no one noticed. Nora tried. She stayed close. We talked, sometimes late into the night. She made me laugh again, though it always sounded different to both of us. Sometimes I'd catch her staring, not at me, through me. And once, while I was brushing my teeth, she asked softly from the hallway, "If you weren't you, would you tell me?" I looked into the mirror. The reflection didn't answer, but I said yes. Classes resumed. I enrolled in advanced ritual theory. Funny, right? Maybe I wanted to stay close to what almost broke me. Or maybe I just didn't know how to be anything else anymore. Our first assignment was to bring in an artifact tied to a local legend. I knew exactly what to choose. I returned to the cottage where we did the original rite. It had been burned down 2 months earlier. Arson. Unsolved. But buried in the ash, beneath warped stone and scorched wood, I found it. The locket. Still intact. Still warm. I didn't open it. Not yet. Just pressed it to my heart and whispered, "You're still in there, aren't you?" And from somewhere deep inside, I felt a second heartbeat. That night I dreamt of her. Not the other. Not my mother. But the next one. A girl I'd never met. Standing in front of a full-length mirror. Young. Pale. Curious. She pressed her palm against the glass, and something inside smiled back. It warmed my face. I woke up sweating, pulled the covers tighter. looked at the mirror across the room. Nothing there. Just me. For now. But as I turned away, I swear I heard it. A whisper. A child's voice. From the other side of the glass. You left the door open again. So here I am. Telling you this. Not to scare you. Not really. But to warn you. The ride didn't end. It never ends. Because mirrors don't just reflect. They remember. Every scream. Every choice. Every self you tried to bury. So the next time you catch your reflection blinking out of sync, the next time the mirror fogs without breath, the next time you dream of someone who knows too much about you, ask yourself, are you the original or just the one who got to stay?
And that was tonight's tale from the Shadowed Tales archive. If it left a mark on your mind, if the silence feels heavier now, then the story did what it was meant to do. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the darkness. New stories are always on their way. Until then, keep the lights low and the doors locked.